Welcome to Go Gardening. My name is Mark Peterson, and we're going to be talking about fertilization. That's because May is an excellent time to fertilize all your plants, whether it be lawns, shrubs, or trees. And so we're going to talk about that and how to do it properly and what types of fertilizers there are out there. We are going to look at manufactured or inorganic fertilizers and organic fertilizers. A lot of people want to do the organic, but you know what? The plant doesn't know the difference between the two. However, there are a lot of beneficial side effects for using organic. So let's go look at some of the products we have here available. As I mentioned, there are two different types of fertilizers, an organic one and an inorganic, which we commonly call manufactured. I have examples behind me here, and I'm going to go through them just quickly. This is 1959. It's a very common lawn fertilizer. Remember that number, 19. I have some ammonium sulfate here. This is 2100. Remember that number. And then classic manufactured slow release fertilizer, Osmocote. It also has a high first number. On the other hand, we have some organic products. A very common one, well known in the area, Medina. This is growing green. This has a number of 323. Remember that number. This one over here is a spoma, a one that's very prevalent among the organic gardeners and one that I favor. This has a number of 9, first one. And then blood meal. That number is 12. Now, why do I say that? It's important. It's just if you don't know the difference between a manufactured fertilizer, aka inorganic, or an organic fertilizer, the numbers usually help you out on that. If it's 12 or less, it's usually going to, that first number, 12 or less, it's usually going to be an organic product, slow release. If it is higher than 12, then it may be a fast release or it may be a slow release, but it's always going to be a manufactured, otherwise known as inorganic fertilizer. This segment we're going to talk about application of a fertilizer. There are two types of equipment that you usually use in applying the fertilizer. Now I have the small one here today just because I felt the little need for it, they're both the same. One is a drop where the fertilizer comes from the bottom of it, and another one's called a broadcast, and it spins out and spreads the fertilizer. The broadcast is faster, the drop is more accurate. Well, let's look on how the directions on how we apply that to the bag. Your bag is going to say what setting that your piece of equipment is to be set at. I decided not to do the math for this because a lot of people are afraid of the math on that. So just go to the bag. It will always have the directions. It will have the amount and the setting per your piece of equipment. It has a whole list of different types of equipment, and it will tell you different types of equipment, and it'll tell you exactly what setting to put it on. So it's a great piece of information. Save the bag, in other words. Now, a couple other things, just want to say that which one we use. This is the Espoma product, but each one of these, the manufactured one or the organic one is very forgiving if you make mistakes. That's just another benefit. That's another reason why I like the organic fertilizers. Not only is May a great time of the year to do fertilizer, it's also a great time to do grub control. Now, the importance of doing the grub control is get them while they're young and small. If you see the damage, it's already too late. So you want to get them when they're young and small. How do you know if you have a grub problem? You cut out a square foot of soil, of lawn, pull it back, and you'll see 5 to 7 or more of these little C-shaped grubs. At that point in time, you know you have a grub problem and you're going to have to treat it. I have 2 different methods of treating them. This is the standard one. This is a systemic imidacloprid. That's the way I say it. Other people say it differently. Imidacloprid. That's when early, that's May and June. Now, if you don't treat them until later, you're going to have to use a carbaryl. And this is a spray one as well, but this you can use in August and September. But the better option is what I call my nematode option. Nematodes are parasitic or beneficial little worms. They move around in the soil. The thing is, you keep them refrigerated. You can go to a lot of local nurseries, or you can order them online, and you keep them refrigerated until you need it to use it. You get a 5-gallon bucket. You fill it with water. You take the packages, the blue packages out, one. They come in 2. Put one in, at least 6 hours, preferably overnight. And then you use that, and you can then overnight spread it out all over the yard. You can also use a watering can or a pump-up sprayer and put the same package inside. So those are different methods on how to use it. The main thing is try to do it right before a rain or your regular irrigation day. So you want the nematodes to move through the soil moisture. That's how they do it. They're almost microscopic. They don't hurt anything. They're beneficial nematodes. They attack pests in the yard, including other ants and spiders and other beetles, is what I meant to say. So that's a great way of doing it. That's the one I heartily recommend, and I think a lot of experts also do as well. To wrap up, we want to thank our hosts here today, Fanix Nursery, one of the oldest nurseries in all of Texas. And we want to talk about why we want to fertilize in May. Plants need to have fertilizer to produce a lot of food. They've used a lot of food to start that spring growth, and they need some more help to produce more. So we like to fertilize in May, and that includes lawns, shrubs, and trees. May is a great time of the year to get outside, enjoy the weather, and go gardening.
We're going to get it right.
Hi, we have a Go Gardening Extra for you. We're here at Fanix Nursery, one of the oldest in the state, and we'll be talking about one of the great things they have: roses, crepe myrtles, and fruit trees. This is Fanix Nursery, one of the oldest nurseries in the state of Texas. It's now in its 4th generation workers here, family working daily here. It's well known for its rose selections, its crepe myrtle selections, its fruit trees, and they're well known for developing their own species. Phoenix Nursery is located on the southeast side of San Antonio. It covers more than 10 acres. So come on by and enjoy all the plants and trees.
So, how does enjoying the many beautiful parks and natural areas located in the Trinity Glen Rose Groundwater Conservation District help protect the clean water stored in the Trinity Aquifer? You can learn more at trinityglenrose.com/pollution prevention.
Hi, I'm Nancy McClintock with Gardening Volunteers of South Texas. Welcome to Go Gardening. We're here today with Drake White, and Drake has always been involved with the monarchs and pollinator plants, and you have a new venture right now. Would you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here?
Yes, thank you first of all for having me. I have now a native nursery called the Nectar Bar, and we do all natives, 100% native plants for pollinators. So we're excited because we're the first one here in San Antonio, and it's pretty important that we're getting this out to the community so that there's more of a variety of native plants ready for folks to put in their own spaces, in their own backyards.
Well, that's very exciting, Drake.
Yes.
Let's go take a look and see what you have here today.
All right, awesome. Come on.
Well, Drake, you've got a lot of plants out here. Do you have them divided sun versus shade, or how would people know what to purchase and how you have your nursery laid out?
Yeah, so typically everything that you see out here is meant for full baking sun. Everything can handle our heat, our even if you can see here, this is a really hot space because of the concrete that's here. Mm-hmm. So they can even take some of that stuff. So all of this takes the full baking sun, and then we have an inside area where that would be stuff that would be for shade.
Okay.
So that's how people will kind of know what is needed for what. But we have several things here that are really, really great pollinators, and a few things that are kind of rare. So I can kind of show you those right now.
Let's take a look.
So right over here, if people are kind of into birds, because yes, I specialize in pollinators, but I learned that this one was great for the like lesser goldfinches and other little finches. This is called Plateau Goldeneye. And this will get every bit of 5 foot tall. And it gets, it resembles a sunflower and it behaves similar to a sunflower, but it gets tiny little flowers. So it'll get a stalk with a bunch of tiny little yellow flowers. And then when it goes to seeds, the birds just absolutely love it.
Well,
so
does it bloom year round, or what does it do?
This will start blooming midsummer,
okay,
and then all the way up until we get a first freeze.
Okay.
And it's a perennial,
okay,
so it'll come back year after year.
Okay.
And then we have our lance leaf coreopsis. This is a shorter plant. It'll get probably about how you see it right here is about the height that it would get with its flower. Mm-hmm. But then we have one over there that's a little bit more rare that has a double flower. So that's the big coreopsis, and this is lance leaf coreopsis. So they're both coreopsis, just one is bigger. That will get every bit of 3 foot tall, okay, and it'll get about 2.5 foot wide. So if you're wanting something that needs more height, this wouldn't do for that. But if you wanted to have the same color, that one's the tall, and then this one is the shorter one that could come up in the front. And then if you wanted to come over here, we have 2 different varieties of blue-eyed grass. And this one here is a very pale light blue. And a little fun fact, I had just recently learned from taking these inside and then bringing them out, when these end up in the shade or in a covered spot, mm-hmm, the blooms are actually turned white.
Oh.
And then as soon as the sun hits it, it just turns blue right in front of your eyes, which was like, oh wow, that's kind of cool.
It is. It is.
And then we have the one here, which is a nice, deep, dark purple.
That's
so
beautiful.
yes, it's very, and these are ones that you would plant, you would water them in, and then you would never water it again. They're our native iris, and so they don't like a lot of water, if any water, but what Mother Nature gives it.
Okay.
So these are things that as people are like, oh, I like this, and I'm definitely ready to give that information, because everybody doesn't know,
Yes.
but then some do. So those that don't, I definitely let them know, hey, this is what you got and this is how it should be treated.
Okay, that's good information. So all of the plantings that you have are native, but they don't necessarily have the same watering needs.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. There's some that absolutely don't like any water. And one of those that are really kind of a favorite of folks is Blackfoot Daisy.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and that is one too. If you're watering it once a month, you're going to kill it because it absolutely survives the best when you completely ignore it.
Maybe that's why I've lost mine.
That could be, definitely, because if you're watering it once a month, you're watering it too much and it will kill it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good information.
So another one that's really fun is this chocolate daisy here. And this is actually edible. You can eat the flowers.
Oh.
But it got its name because the scent of the flowers actually smell like chocolate. So if you're anything like me, chocolate is my favorite.
Okay.
And I will take this any day. So, but yes, it's a good edible plant. And the flowers are quite tasty in a salad.
Oh,
so
nice.
that's a nice little fun plant. The flower is yellow. And then it has the dark center, and then sometimes it'll kind of tear over, and on the back side it has kind of like a purplish red striping in the flower underneath.
You've certainly got a lot of interesting plants and quite a variety, Drake.
Thank you.
Now, can you explain the importance of having natives versus non-natives in a landscape?
Well, several reasons. One, we don't want to put in, or we shouldn't put in, non-natives because it chokes out the natural habitats that we need for our wildlife and our pollinators. Second, a lot of those non-natives take a lot more water, and water conservation is very, very important. So as you heard me already say, many of these you'll water them and then you'll just kind of ignore them.
Okay.
So even when we're 500 degrees in August, many of these still don't want to drink. They'll tell you, they'll kind of droop, and then that's when the only time that you should actually give them a drink is when they're kind of drooping and they're telling you that they're thirsty.
Okay.
So water conservation is a big thing that we really need to watch for right now.
Okay.
And our Texas native plants are definitely good for that.
Okay, well, we've looked at a lot of your sun plants. Let's take a look in the greenhouse at some of the shade plants.
Okay. So in here we have our shady plants. These are the ones that might gossip about you. So you gotta watch these guys. But yeah, we have a lot of variety. Everything that would be in here are going to be the areas that are shady, either full dense shade or dappled. There are a few things in here that could do either or, but for the majority, it's going to be shady stuff that's in here. And those that could do either or, I would definitely let folks know, hey, that could also go out there, but it could do in here.
Perfect.
Sometimes you'll see things that are out there that are in here too, and that's because it can do both. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So the first one I would like to talk to you about is the gold columbine. This little dainty thing, it looks so dainty and so frail, but it truly isn't. And it's a great full deep shade or a partial shade plant. It's got beautiful yellow flowers, and it seeds out pretty readily, so it'll make a nice little colony. It only gets about 1.5 feet to 2 feet tall, and it's very airy, so it's not something dense, and it's not something that will really take over, but it's definitely something that couldn't go in the sun, so that's why we have it in here.
Well, Drake, let me ask you a question. I've seen the columbine in different colors. Is there a variety? With the variety, is there a difference in the strength of the plant?
So the different varieties is whether it's native or not.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So how it looks like this, you can typically, almost all the columbine, their leaflets look the same. Some are thicker, some are, but if it's not either the gold or like the yellow with the red that's kind of on the back.
Yes.
That's the only ones that are native. All the other columbine are not native. They're cultivars or they're from another country.
So they won't hold up as well in our...
They won't hold up as well, or it's one too that will spread out and can become a problem for other plants and our diversity that will choke out stuff for our native habitats.
Invasive.
Invasive, yes,
Okay.
it can be invasive,
Okay.
yes. So another one I would like to talk to you about over here is the Texas Bethany. I just actually learned that a lot of people don't know about this one, and someone was actually just saying that they had taken a class and they had a list of, you know, plants that were in this class, and I'm like, well, surely you can't get every Texas native plant on a list, but this one wasn't on there, and I'm like, well, that's why I'm here. And that's the whole purpose, because things that are not necessarily always readily available, I want to make them more readily available so that more people know what they can use. And this is a great plant for dappled shade and full dense shade. It'll do both.
And what about the blooming on this plant?
And this bloom here is a bright red.
Oh, nice.
And the hummingbirds absolutely love it, and the bees go crazy for it. So
Nice.
it's a really, really good plant.
And watering needs on it?
So this one, you would water it in, and once you have it in, water it once a week for about 4 to 6 weeks to get it established, and then you just ignore it.
Nice.
That's the wonderful thing about these native plants, is they don't require a lot of water. And typically when people lose their plants, it's because they've overwatered.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Another one that has been really, really popular, and I'm happy to see that it's been popular, is the golden groundsel. This is another one that's not always readily available in the nurseries. And the leaflets, that's about as big as they get. And it gets up a spike, and then it flushes out a little tiny dainty yellow flowers.
Oh,
and so
pretty.
as it grows, it continues to bloom, and then it's usually finished blooming, I'd say around mid-fall.
Okay. Okay. So
Great little plant.
Yes.
Some other ones here. Are you familiar with the chili patine?
Of course.
Yes. So edibles. A lot of people would want to, you know, ask like, oh, are there edible things? And so yeah, we have a chili patine, hot pepper.
Very hot.
And this can do full dense shade. It can do table, but it can also take full baking sun.
Oh.
This you would want to definitely give some room, because it can get 3 foot tall by 3 foot wide. So that's one that you know that you would have to give some room to. And I kind of let everyone know as they're purchasing what their height requirements and what their size and what they should have.
What about ground cover? Do you have anything for that?
Yes, so we have several ground covers right here. We have our woolly stemmodia, which is nice little thin creeper. It's very soft to the touch. This gets purple flowers. We also have some silver ponyfoot.
Oh, that's really pretty.
Yes, and this covers out, and it looks great up against even some of the others. Mix them in and you get 2 different textures. And we also have some frog fruit, which I absolutely love, because this grows in full shade, dappled shade, full sun, wet feet, dry feet. It doesn't care.
Wow.
So, and I have this as a lawn in my own yard. I have no grass, and it does fine being walked on. I have a dog, so it holds up to the dog as well. It does take every bit of 12 weeks to get this established.
Okay.
But once you have it established, you just pet it, tell it it's pretty, and then it's happy.
Drake, thanks for letting us come out today and see your nursery and all of these native plants. We've talked a little bit about the non-natives, and can you talk a little bit more to us about replacements for those?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first things that I love to talk about, one is getting rid of the nandinas and some of the other options that you can put in place of those, because we know the nandinas are non-native invasives, but also the berries are toxic, and so they end up killing our birds and wildlife that actually eat them. So good replacements you could have that would mimic that would be a Barbados cherry, or even like the cenizo we have right here. This is a good replacement in place of that as well. This gets a beautiful purple flower when it's just about to rain. So, and sometimes when we get those heavy torrential rains, you don't even see the leaflets. It's so full of blooms, and
So
that's always
beautiful.
really pretty too. And then the Barbados cherry, like I had said before, it gives us edible cherries, and it's native, so we can eat it, the birds can eat it, and we don't have to worry about anything dying or taking up natural resources for us.
Well, perfect.
Yeah, and another one I would like to talk about is even right here, as we stand amongst our native grasses, take out lawn. The lawns here are guzzling up water that we need to conserve, and we have different ones. So this here is actually a cedar sedge, and then we have one next to you that's a Texas sedge. In front of us we have blue grama, and we also have little blue stem. We have some golf muhly and some big muhly. So there's lots of options for either really tall or really short if some grasses may need a wetter area or dry. But grasses are really, really important for our natural habitats as well, if we could just get rid of that lawn.
That sounds great.
Yes.
Well, you've given us some great information today, and
Thank
we
you.
thank you for allowing us to be here, and we hope everybody will watch Go Gardening.
Yes, and definitely get into your natives.
Litter goes with the flow. Join the San Antonio River Authority in protecting area creeks and the river. Don't let litter trash your river. Let's all be river proud.